There are some celebrities whose faces become familiar to us long before we ever realize how much of their lives we've been watching. Hayden Panettiere was one of those people. She became a star while she was still a child, grew up in front of millions of viewers, became one of television's most recognizable young actresses, and eventually found herself dealing with struggles that were far more complicated than anything she had ever played on screen. On August 16, 2026, the entertainment world was shaken by the news that Hayden Panettiere had died at just 36 years old. Her death was confirmed by her representative on behalf of her father, Hayden Panettiere, who described Hayden as an incredible light and a force of nature who brought love and joy to the people around her. But behind the headlines was a woman whose life had already contained extraordinary highs, painful lows, motherhood, addiction and recovery, heartbreak, and a determined attempt to rebuild her life. So today we're looking back at the life of Hayden Panettiere. Not just the actress the world knew, but the woman behind the fame. Hayden Leslie Panettiere was born on August 21, 1989 in New York. She grew up in a family connected to entertainment. Her mother, Leslie Vogel, was an actress, while her father, Alan Skip Panettiere, worked as a firefighter captain. Hayden also had a younger brother, Jansen Panettiere, who later became an actor himself. From an extremely young age, Hayden was already working in entertainment. Her professional acting career began in 1994, when she appeared on the ABC soap opera One Life to Live. She later became known for her work on Guiding Light, where she appeared during her childhood years. Imagine being a child and already having to learn lines, stand in front of cameras, work long hours, and perform in an industry where millions of people eventually become familiar with your face. For Hayden, that was normal life. She wasn't simply dreaming about becoming an actress.
Is this your first movie premiere in Hollywood?
Well, let me see. Actually, yes it is. But I've done other movies.
Oh, I know you've worked in other times, but this is a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this film yet with a big audience? Have you heard a reaction to it?
Never. No, I've heard like everyone's seen it and they think it's gonna be like really great, but I've never heard like so many people like here and everyone like wants to watch it.
She was already one. One of the early turning points in Hayden's career came when she moved from television into movies. She voiced Princess in Pixar's A Bug's Life. Then, in 2000, she appeared in Remember the Titans alongside Denzel Washington. The movie became an important part of her early career and introduced her to an even wider audience. As the years went by, Hayden continued appearing in movies and television projects. She starred in projects including Ice Princess and Bring It On, All or Nothing. But her biggest breakthrough was still ahead of her, and it would completely change her life. In 2006, Hayden Panettiere joined the cast of NBC's Heroes. She played Claire Bennett, a high school cheerleader who discovers that she has a remarkable ability to heal herself. The character became one of the show's most recognizable figures, and Hayden became a major television star. Suddenly, the young actress who had been working since childhood was internationally famous. Millions of people knew her. She was young, beautiful, talented, and seemingly on top of the world. But fame has a way of making people see only one side of your life. The public could see the red carpets. They could see the magazine covers. They could see the television shows. But they couldn't see everything happening behind the scenes. And Hayden's life would eventually become much more complicated. After Heroes ended in 2010, Hayden continued working. She appeared in Scream 4 in 2011. And then came another role that would become one of the defining performances of her career. In 2012, Hayden was cast as Juliet Barnes on ABC's musical drama Nashville. She played the ambitious and complicated country music star for all 6 seasons of the series. The role allowed Hayden to show a different side of herself. She wasn't just playing a young actress or a superhero-like character anymore. She was portraying a woman dealing with fame, relationships, career pressure, addiction, heartbreak, and personal struggles. The performance earned her 2 Golden Globe nominations, and Nashville helped establish her as a serious television actress. But while Hayden was portraying complicated emotional stories on television, her real life was becoming complicated too. In her personal life, Hayden entered a relationship with Ukrainian heavyweight boxing champion Vladimir Klitschko. The two had met years earlier and eventually began dating. They became engaged in 2013. In December 2014, they welcomed their daughter, Kaya. For Hayden, becoming a mother was life-changing. But motherhood also came during one of the most difficult periods of her life. Hayden later spoke openly about experiencing postpartum depression. She also struggled with alcohol and substance addiction. These weren't easy experiences to discuss publicly, especially for someone who had grown up in front of cameras. But eventually, Hayden chose to speak about them, and that honesty would become an important part of her later life. Hayden's relationship with Vladimir Klitschko eventually ended. In 2018, she agreed to give him full custody of their daughter. That decision became one of the most painful chapters of her life. In later interviews and in her memoir, Hayden explained that the decision was not simply about giving up on being a mother. She said she believed it was the best decision for Kaya at that time. Kaya eventually lived with her father, while Hayden continued maintaining a relationship with her daughter. And Hayden made it clear that becoming a mother had never stopped being important to her. She continued talking about Kaya with love and concern. In her memoir, she expressed her fear that her daughter might one day read about her struggles and somehow believe that those struggles were her fault. Hayden wanted Kaya to know that she loved her, that she had never stopped loving her, and that her daughter was never responsible for the difficult moments in her mother's life. But Hayden's struggles didn't stop there. She also experienced a highly publicized and abusive relationship with actor Brian Hickerson. The relationship became a source of serious legal and personal turmoil. Hayden later spoke about the experience and used her platform to encourage conversations around domestic violence and recovery. For someone who had spent so much of her life being watched by the public, it would have been easy to hide everything. Instead, Hayden increasingly chose to talk about the difficult parts. She discussed addiction. She discussed mental health. She discussed motherhood. She discussed trauma. And she discussed what it meant to rebuild yourself after years of struggling. That journey eventually became the subject of her memoir. In May 2026, Hayden released This Is Me, A Reckoning. The book was deeply personal. It explored her childhood fame, relationships, motherhood, addiction, recovery, and the experiences that had shaped her. And remarkably, shortly before her death, Hayden was still talking about the future. At a May event promoting the memoir in Los Angeles, she spoke about the people who had approached her and told her that her openness about mental health had encouraged them to seek help. That meant something deeply personal to her. Hayden said she hoped she could leave the world a better place than she found it. She was also looking forward professionally. She talked about wanting to direct and produce. She wanted to create environments where actors and young performers could feel safe. After everything she had experienced in Hollywood, she wanted to use those experiences to make the industry better for others. That is important because it shows where Hayden believed her story was heading. She wasn't looking backward. She was still imagining a future. Hayden's memoir also became a bestseller. In May, she celebrated the book reaching number 4 on the New York Times bestseller list. She was sharing moments from her book tour. She was connecting with fans. She was talking about her recovery, and she was continuing to work. Her final Instagram post was shared on July 27, 2026. In the photograph, Hayden appeared smiling alongside photographer Randall Slavin. Her caption was simple: "Good times and good friends." Just weeks later, Hayden would be gone. On Sunday, August 16th, emergency services were called to a residence in Greenville, South Carolina. The call was reportedly placed by an acquaintance who found Hayden unresponsive. Police and emergency medical personnel responded. Medical assistance was administered at the scene. But sadly, Hayden was pronounced dead. She was only 36 years old. The news spread quickly through Hollywood. Fans who had grown up watching heroes in Nashville suddenly found themselves looking back at her career. Former colleagues and celebrities began paying tribute. People who had worked with Hayden remembered her talent. Others remembered her personality and kindness. Her father described her as an incredible light and a force of nature. And for many fans, the hardest part was simply the age. 36. A woman who had spent more than 3 decades in the entertainment industry was suddenly gone. There have also been reports about the circumstances surrounding her death. However, it is important to separate confirmed information from speculation. Authorities have said that the preliminary investigation has not indicated signs of foul play or suspicious circumstances. A 911 call was made after Hayden was found unresponsive. Reports about what may have caused the medical emergency have circulated, but Hayden's official cause of death has not yet been established. An autopsy and investigation are expected to provide more information. So for now, the most responsible thing to say is that the circumstances remain under investigation. Hayden's family deserves space to grieve, and her story deserves to be remembered for much more than the circumstances of her final day. Because Hayden Panettiere was more than a tragic headline. She was a child actress who became a household name. She was Claire Bennett from Heroes. She was Juliette Barnes from Nashville. She was a movie actress. She was a singer. She was a daughter. She was a sister. She was a mother. And she was a woman who openly acknowledged that she had struggled. She made mistakes. She experienced pain. She sought help. She tried to recover. And she tried to use her experiences to help other people. Her younger brother Jansen also died in 2023 at just 28 years old. Another devastating loss for the Panettiere family. So Hayden's family had already experienced profound grief before losing her. And now her daughter Kaya is growing up without her mother. Perhaps one of the most heartbreaking parts of Hayden's final months is that she appeared to be thinking about the future. She had just released a memoir. She was meeting fans. She was talking about directing. She wanted to produce. She wanted to create safer spaces for performers. And she wanted her experiences to mean something. She had spent years trying to reclaim her story. Instead of allowing the hardest parts of her life to define her completely, she began talking about them openly. That may ultimately become one of the most important parts of her legacy. Not that she was perfect, but that she kept trying. Hayden Panettiere's life reminds us that celebrity does not protect anyone from pain. A person can be famous and still struggle. A person can smile for cameras and still be fighting battles privately. A person can fall and still try to get back up. And sometimes the public sees only a tiny fraction of what someone is experiencing. Hayden spent her entire life in front of cameras. But in her final years, she seemed determined to show people something deeper. She wanted people to understand the person behind the actress, the mother behind the celebrity, the survivor behind the headlines, and the woman behind the fame. Hayden Panettiere died on August 16, 2026, at the age of 36. She leaves behind her daughter Kaya, her parents, family, friends, former colleagues, and millions of fans who watched her grow up on screen. Her career began when she was a child. Her biggest fame came when she was still young. And her later years were marked by an increasingly honest conversation about mental health, addiction, motherhood, trauma, and recovery. She once hoped that sharing her story would help other people feel less alone. And perhaps that is how she should be remembered. Not only for how her life ended, but for everything she was before that final chapter. Hayden Panettiere was a talented actress who grew up in the public eye, experienced extraordinary success, endured extraordinary pain, and spent her final years trying to rebuild her life and leave something meaningful behind. Her story was complicated. Her life was not perfect, but it was real. And for millions of people who watched her on television, she will always be remembered. Rest in peace, Hayden Panettiere. May her daughter, her family, and everyone who loved her find strength during this heartbreaking time. And may Hayden's story remind us that behind every celebrity headline is a real human being with a life, a family, dreams, struggles, and people who love them. This is Star Life with Precious. If you want more celebrity stories, breaking entertainment news, and the real stories behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching.